want to welcome back to the channel. If you watched the last episode, we were starting on some brake line stuff. Danny was putting the holes in the chassis. Today, he's got the steering done since the last video. We started on a prototype steering piece, which actually works really good with the lower mount so far. We're working on the upper mount now. We should have that done by the end of this video, so you guys can see. Hopefully it'll work. We'll all learn together, I guess, if it does or not. Trying to get a lot of stuff knocked out before lunchtime, because I'm sure after our barbecue today, it's gonna be a little slower after lunch, but Danny's working on brake lines now. The steering's done. We're putting in one of our window net kits, and Troy's about to start on tub. So we got a day full of some pretty good stuff and making a lot of progress. Talk to me. I love you, man. You go to the front.
I just don't like this rear tab being so far in.
No, I know.
You know, I can roll it back like that. And it's behind.
Roll the front out a little bit too, I feel like. That's pretty far over. You want over here? No.
Little front, little rear.
Rear go in a little bit.
So it looks like steering is pretty much all set up now.
Yeah, it's finalized from here. Well, basically from the end, this length anyway, it's finalized with all the way through here. First thing we do is we know this area needs to be usually as low as possible, because you've got to worry about an exhaust port that's right here for that header tube. You don't want this thing up here. You want to get it down as low as you can, but you can't bind up the U-joint. So you get it where it won't go anymore. If you have to, if it's real tight, back it off a little. So then we know about where this is going to go. And then up here, you don't want to have anything hanging out here where it might interfere with something with the motor also. So you keep it out here and then turn it in again without getting this too tight. But as long as it doesn't bind up, it turns like it's straight. So once we kind of get an idea where this is all going to go, then I just take some chrome moly pieces that I've got, I cut them, slide them into U-joints, look at it, see if I got to make this a little shorter, a little longer, to kind of make it go where it needs to be. Once you get that sort of what you want, then you say about putting your two supports. Again, this has to be where you can slide that tube out. So you can't have it where it's going to run into this tube, or if it's going to run into this tube or hit here. It's got to be able to run where you can pull it out, but it sure can't go that way. So another thought you have to do. And then once we kind of get everything where we want it, then I'll take and I'll get my exact measurements on my moly pieces, then I take it over to the titanium, go over in the end mill, center this tube in the end mill, get my length I want here, and I pop a hole all the way through using a end mill, not a drill bit. I use an end mill because it's more accurate, not wanting to move around or anything. And then I just pop 2 holes in each one, go back over here, they line right up. If everything's good, you can put the bolt in either way. You could flip it 180 and put it through. It's dead center, so just like it only doesn't go one way. And that's pretty much what we do. It's just a process of trying to keep it out of the way of things that you know it's probably going to be in the way of, and still turn real free. And even though you see like 4 U-joints, this steering turns like it doesn't have any U-joints.
Troy, it looks like you made a lot of progress in the rear.
Like a boss. Seriously though, what we're doing now is preparing the laying the groundwork to put the tubs in. Basically this whole area is going to be closed off. We have this lip here, you can see it on this other side. That's something that we do on a few cars, just to kick the tub back a scooch to make room for the funny car cage so it doesn't interfere. But this car creates a unique situation where we're back a little farther than usual, so this has got to kick back a little farther than usual, which isn't that big of a deal. I just add a little more length in between my 2 flanges. Now the cool part about this is it gives me a nice solid mount for the front edge of the tub, and ties it into the cage as well as tying it into this other panel. So yeah, basically got those cut out, got my corners filled in, all that's done. So what I'm probably going to move on to now is creating my template so that I can start laying out to fit the tub. I'm probably gonna, I'd like to probably start on this side. I usually like to try and start on the driver's side
So if there is interference with the cage, I can address it then, and then copy the passenger side, as opposed to doing that first and then coming over here and realizing, oh darn, I really should have adjusted that before I did it. So it's just the way I like to do it, with the driver's side first. So that's probably where we're gonna go on to, is some CAD design with some cardboard, make a template for the tub, get up in here and start moving forward, getting some tubs in here.
You just can't fall below center of tube.
Or you get pinched.
Or don't look where the dam.
Yeah, it don't work. Look where the...
Yeah, I'm open to any suggestions you guys want to do as far as cutting whatever up there, as long as it fits all right.
No, I just don't want to put this in and roll it this way and then it mess with putting
Now,
this.
Were you talking about
putting
putting
this in
some
until
kind
it's
of
cut.
frame around this top edge
Oh.
too? Danny?
Huh?
Were you talking about putting some kind of frame around this top
I don't
edge,
know
too?
what we're gonna do up there yet. I haven't really messed with the seat enough yet to really know.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't messed with the seat in a
I
long
was
time.
just asking. I didn't know whether you had or
No,
hadn't.
unfortunately, with the seat being laid back as much as this one is, they don't make them tall enough to go all the way up to that bar like
No,
we would
right.
normally do it. But
And honestly, that might even be too tall
yeah.
for the seat belts.
Oh, yeah. The seat belt's probably going to have to be down in that little square.
And you're not
bottom.
going to want the seat really any higher than that.
No.
So that's just as well.
Yeah, I haven't really given that part a whole lot of thought yet, because I haven't really got to that point.
Right.
But because the seat's as tall as it is as it came. So
Yeah, well, next time he's here, we'll stick him in the car, and we'll make a note of where the seatbelt wants to
I
be
got a
level.
real good idea where to cut the slots in.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a big deal at all.
yeah. The lap belts are always easy.
Right.
All right. Just checking.
How's it coming so far, Taylor?
Not too bad. I've got to try to roll this tube in just a hair. That way, in worst case scenario, the net itself doesn't get ripped out of the car.
So basically the window net kit is made from scratch.
Yeah, so all of the machine parts, except for this pull pin, we make here in-house. I believe the regulation is a 10-inch net. Some people go longer, some people go, I guess you can't go any shorter, but since Cleetus is going to be sitting so far back, we're going to go to the minimum requirement.
What is that for, Dan?
This is for the passenger side of the brake line that goes from here. It'll step down, and like this one steps up, this will step down, run along this frame tube. It'll make a 90, run straight across this tube, make another 90, go back and step back up and go into this. Somewhere in this general area, right like this. And that'll be for the passenger side caliper. So this line's not very hard to do. It's pretty simple as long as you know your bend points. And I have my own way of figuring that out that, I don't know, I'm sure somebody else does it too, but it just works very well for me.
I take it that all these brake lines are made by hand, basically.
Yeah, it starts out like this. Well, actually it doesn't start like this. Something you're gonna see here in a little bit. We have this, which is the best tool I have ever used in my life for doing its job. It does what it's supposed to do amazingly. When we get our brake line, it's in a big coil, about that big in diameter. So naturally you want it like this. So you just take it and you uncoil it by hand, and it still winds up being a big bow. You cut a piece off whatever long you want, put this thing in the vise, You adjust this, you just run that line through here, back and forth. Tighten it a little bit more, a little bit, keep going with it. It'll straighten that tubing out just like that, like you've never, like it came that way. It'll do all the way up to, I think, 1/2-inch tubing down to probably 3/16. But this thing here is amazing. First time I used it, I like showing everybody this tool because it's just like, tools are great when they work good. This one works perfect.
Who made the ribs?
Michael,
I mean,
the parts room. He did good.
Dan, when's the last time you had some ribs?
35 years ago.
When was the last time you had some ribs?
Didn't we just do ribs? 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago?
it was 2 weeks ago.
You guys didn't give your ribs to Danny. Danny says he hasn't had ribs in 30
Because
years.
he didn't want them.
He had a hamburger.
I remember.
He had a hamburger that day.
No,
Sounds too good for ribs.
I don't taste them like I used to, and they're more work to eat than a hamburger. So I just get a hamburger.
He cooked for us a few times before. He's pretty local to here. He's got a race car. So something we want to do, maybe this will work. We'd like to do barbecue or some kind of catering or cooking every week on the channel. We used to do it a long time ago, and we've started doing it the last few weeks. If you guys have a company in a Central Florida location that caters, barbecues, does anything, we'd like to do a guest chef every week on the channel if we can. We're going to put a link for an email. Send us an email, and maybe you can come cook for us.
Yep. I take it that's the line you were talking about, Danny?
Yeah, this is how it comes to us. So you just kind of roll it out. One thing about this kind of tubing, I can bend this actually around something that big around and it won't collapse the tube. It won't flatten it. It'll just simply coil right up with no problem. The bigger diameter, and that's when you run into problems. But I need a piece right now like it's around 54 inches long. So I just kind of roll out. It doesn't have to be exactly 54, it's just something in that, it needs to be a minimum of that. Tape measure. Works really good. So you just kind of tighten it a little. Tighten a little more. You won't get it perfectly straight, but you'll get it really, really close. And tweak it a little bit. And you got a straight enough tube to work with. Great tool.
So now what's the next step, Danny?
I have to flare one end of it, and so you make sure you got a nice flat edge. I just take off the burr, and then I take a countersink or something and just kind of make sure the inside's a little bit cleaned up. And then our flaring tool, I don't need to put anything on yet because it's open. Otherwise, you better make sure you have whatever you want on the line, or once you crimp it down with this and flare it, if you forgot something, it's not going back on it. That's what, yeah. This thing has like a clutch on it. So when you reach the point of where it's not going to go any farther, it kind of pops off on you. Like that. And just unscrew it. And you have your flare. One thing you always want to do is kind of just take off any little rough edges, and you inspect the flare so you don't see any splits. And this one looks good. Yep, that looks good. You still have a little bit of a bow in it, but it's nothing too bad. That all can be straightened right out. Yeah, that'll be all right. You do not want to leave this off. If you leave this off, you just messed up everything you just did, because it has to be there.
And what's that, Danny?
That's the ferrule that goes up against the flare. And when you put this nut on there, it slides on there and it pushes against this, which shoves the flare up against the up against it like that. So that goes all the way up like that. And then when you tighten down that nut, it pulls all this together, and as long as you snug it up pretty good, it doesn't leak.
How's it looking?
Looking good.
Looking good.
Starting on the last one for the front.
Nice. Yeah, they look really good.
I can't do any, the other one left to do, I can't do till we final assemble the car and put it through the frame.
I think this is Danny's favorite part about building a race car. Brake lines and fire lines. He comes in early, leaves late, doesn't want to take lunch.
I thoroughly enjoy this.
And we got all the right tools for the brake line. We don't even need a notcher we don't have.
We don't.
This is a good project for Danny.
We have just about everything we need to do this job.
Just
I know. Just a figure of speech.
Did you show him your drawer full of templates? This is these brake lines, to make them as accurate as Danny makes them. We don't have a protractor calipers for them, but we do use a lot of templates. You can't just start bending and guessing. There's a lot of templates that go into it, and over the last 3 or however many years that Danny's doing a lot of brake lines, he's collected a ton of templates. So once you have the template of kind of the angle or the radius or whatever you're gonna do, he keeps it. And basically that just shows you like where the bend starts. I don't know if you showed him this already.
I haven't showed him yet, but
where the bend starts, if you're gonna do a 90, you know, it gives you a good idea where you're starting and where you're going, but show him your template drawer.
What I do with, yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. What I do is, let's say this line here, for example, just going to have a little step up, and then it's going to make a 90, and then it's going to make another 90. And where the distance between those two 90s needs to be like really close to being accurate of what, you don't have a lot of room to play with that. So the way you can measure, you can add take off, you can have takeoffs for your radius and all that, but I got a way I do it to where there's no guesswork involved. Let's say we're going to use this piece of tubing here like one of my 90s. Let's say this is where we're going to start our bend. Put it in the bender when I get it where it needs to be. And you have two different numbers on here, or two different lines that you pay attention to. If you put it on the 0, that's going to be where you're starting your bend. But if you know where you want this thing to come down on a 90 exactly, you put it on the L on the bender. But for what I'm doing here, we're going to use a 0. So you put it on the 0, and you pull your 90. Once you get your 90, then you come back here and you make a mark right on the 90. So now you have a bend point, that's where you started, and a bend point where the 90 now goes back to being straight. So when I do this, I come over here and I'm going to be hooking to this fitting. So it's going to run right down this tube at the same place on that tube all the way down to here, and then it's going to turn. Well, since this tube is even with the top, this makes it easy. If I didn't have that tube even, I would have to, if it was down a little bit lower, I'd have to put a 45 on this and bring it down a little bit, and then bring another 45 to bring it across. That's where I keep one of these little things bent up like that all the time with my bend points, so I can use it. But on this one, what you'll do is you line up this where it's going to need to be, and then you transfer that line to the tube. Put a mark on it. Then you come over here and you'll do the same thing. You'll put it where you want it this way on your tube, and you'll take that line and you'll make a mark right there on the tube. Now you measure between that line and that line. Now you know your bend points. So when you bend it, it's going to come up to within less than a 1/16 of an inch, depending if anything slips a little bit in the bender. It's going to come up to be right where you want it. That's how I do it. Now you could take a measurement outside to outside, and then take the radius of your bender, since it's a 90, subtract that radius from it, put your mark. This is foolproof. That way should work, and that's the way I used to do it. But I just do it like this from now on, and I have no subtracting. You just use it. I keep every little thing that I've ever tried to make in here. What you see here is mostly all 3/16. There's my 1/4 inch, 3/8 or 1/2 inch stuff I've tried to bend up, and I use those for patterns. Again, I have my starting point on my bend, my ending point. If I have to have a specific spot I want it to fall in, it works great. But yeah, this thing's a real mess when it's all in here, but I'll use those things on something. Even if it's not bent enough. If I got to make something that's bent more, I'll take one of them and I'll just bend it a little bit more. And yeah, we don't throw anything away here.
Perfect. Go back a little bit. A little more. Right there. Yeah. That's perfect. Yep, so however long that is. Perfect.
So from there to 13.5.
Yeah, to the hole?
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll work.
All right.
So is this still going to be the vertical or the horizontal mounting kit?
This is a horizontal mounting kit. So what that means is the tubes that mount the net run horizontal. We also offer one where the tubes that mount the net run vertical. It's personal preference. We've done them both ways, depending on the car. The biggest thing is the side of this cage is pretty straight, so the net won't really sag into the driver a lot. So the horizontal is easier to get out. It drops down way out of the way. Now, if the main hoop's leaned a lot and you do a horizontal, the net will kind of sag into your elbow and stuff. So in that case, then we run a vertical, and we can actually bend the tube, and it keeps the net out of the way. With this car, we're going to do the horizontal. And if you saw what he was just doing, the biggest thing is per the rules, the net needs to be 10 inches long at least, or it can be longer. So we made the top about 10.5, and then for looks, really, we taper it forward just a little bit, so that's why he had that string there. The bottom's going to be closer to about 13 inches long, and it's pretty cool. We made this kit from scratch. There's a lot of kits out there that you can choose from, and we've tried just about all of them. We made a few versions ourselves, and this is what we ended up with. They have billet mounts in the front and rear. And then the front is super easy. It's already pre-notched, all one piece, spring-loaded pin, super easy to install, and they look really good. So if you haven't seen one yet, Ricky has a display model over there. He could probably show you how the net comes out because we don't have a net for this. It may make more sense if you see a display and how the net comes out and how easy it is to operate.
Looks like Ricky's got the display out. Where is he? If they can tell us a little bit about. Hey, Rick.
What's up, man?
So I take it that's the kit?
Yeah, this is a horizontal kit here. This is our horizontal mountain kit. It's everything it comes with. Actually getting ready to send this one out. It's got the little, I'm sure Cameron already explained, our little clevis, our billet clevis, all of the little parts and pieces that go with it to mount it in your car. Pretty simple, not a whole lot to it.
Okay. Now what about the net? Does it come with the net?
No, the net is, the customer has to install our mount in their car, and then they build a template, send the template to either Stroud or White Safety, whoever they prefer, and they'll supply the net.
Okay.
Yeah,
So as far
yeah.
as the entire kit, this is what comes with the
Yeah,
kit.
yeah, this net here is actually for the wheelies out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is there other? I know there's two options, vertical and horizontal, from what Cameron was saying.
Yeah,
They both
yeah.
come with the same components.
They're slightly different. There's actually three. We have a long and a short horizontal. So, but yeah, they are slightly different between the horizontal and the vertical. There's a few different parts and pieces, but it's really close to the same. I think we went over it in the past sometime, but it's been a while. We've got both the vertical and the horizontal set up on this one display to kind of show you the differences and how Cameron explained earlier how if the main hoop is more vertical, I guess, and doesn't have a whole lot of offset, or does have a whole lot of offset, kind of depends on which one you want. The vertical will keep the net off of your arm because you can form the vertical tube to match the main hoop or the funny car cage or whatever you want. The horizontal is it's nice because it gets out of the way much better than the vertical does. Like you just pull the clip and this whole thing just kind of falls down out of the way. Where the vertical, you pull the lever and it kind of folds down. So it's not quite as out. I mean, it's still not in the way really, but the horizontal is a little bit better at getting out of your way.
I wonder if one of them Willie's tubs is fitting in there.
Yeah, because that'd make a good template. Just do your cardboard on the side from that. That's great. I like that. It's a good idea you had, Troy. I like it.
That was your idea, you said. You won't take no credit.
You're pushing this way up.
I want it pushed
Oh,
up.
you do?
Yep. So something like that. That looks better.
Do you want me to try to pull this last Cleco out? Or not last, but
Which
second
one?
to last?
We got a second to last Cleco? Oh, in the corner. Yeah, no. Yeah, because are we interfering with that seam?
I mean, we will.
We will.
We will. But the tub's in there and it's not touching this panel.
Is that like Miami Vice tubs?
No.
No one ever gets that.
We don't have a Crockett, so no, it's not like
I'll be
Miami Vice.
Crockett. He always drove. Like Toons is the driving cat.
You're just touching, I think.
Yeah. Which is no bueno.
Yeah, but if you rolled it down, because you brought that up, if you just rocked it back just a hair.
I don't want to rock it back.
At all? So then what do you do about this?
That's gonna have to get cut out.
Okay.
That's gonna have to get cut out. Yeah, so the tub's gonna come up through here. And then it's gonna have to window out for this. Into here. And wherever this ends up. So this whole corner will be a window.
Yeah.
I'll know more once I start taking cardboard in there,
Right.
but now I'm wondering if we can just pull them Clecos and just kind of tweak that back a little bit and re-drill them holes.
It's gonna push this out.
Out.
With at this length. I think.
Hang on before you get rid of that. Oh, I don't have anything to measure off. Never mind.
I think it may not. Well, we had to push this quarter panel in to tack it back, so it.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, technically we could do that. We're not going to get a whole pad, but
What I'm saying, you could lean on that.
you could probably get half a pad. Easy.
It should be all we need.
This is all top finish?
Yeah, and oddly enough, we have a set of tubs on hand that I fit into the wheelies that are small enough to throw up here and see. I've never afforded this opportunity because the tubs are always so ginormous, and they're cut to fit the car. They fit one car once they're cut to fit the car. But I'm afforded the opportunity to grab these down off the shelf and throw one up in here and get an actual visual of what I will and won't run into as far as problems. I like it. I mean, I think we got something we can work with. And then I'll probably end up using this and just taping cardboard to it and use it as my template. You can't get much more accurate than an actual tub. I'm thinking, I don't know, I can be wrong. Been wrong. Not often, but people point it out when I am. I like to point it out when I am. I like that a lot. And to be perfectly honest with you, if we drill that, and then you jump in here and throw some weld on that,
It's not going in there.
it'll just be like, up there. That's where it goes. Oh,
Better?
yeah. I'm not convinced 3 acres is the place to be. It's a problem. I like it.
Ideally, in a perfect world, we even when we fit the tub to the quarter panel, we leave a gap and then use a seam sealer, because there are cars, if you go to the racetrack and you're walking through the pits and you look at them, you can see the quarter panels are beat really bad, and it's from the tub. You know,
What he's talking
beating
about
against the quarter panel.
is this carbon tub is so rigid that when we fit it to the quarter panel, it'll follow the quarter panel, but it will not touch the quarter panel. I like to leave an 1/8 inch and 3/16 gap all the way around. The reason for that is we use it's almost like the modern window glue, like for gluing in windshields.
Yeah, it's a
really strong urethane adhesive, and we'll, for lack of a better term, we'll caulk them in. So basically what you have is it is attached to the quarter panel, but in such a way that it can move and flex, so to speak, but it's still held together, just not rigidly. I don't know. It's almost like vulcanizing rubber to metal. It's held together, but it still moves. And the reason you do that is because these cars are so violent that if this tub was touching this quarter panel over time, it would create dents to the outside of the tin, and you'd see that. So the quarter panel, you'd see the basically the outline of the tub from the inside, slam it against the body. And that's another reason when you're doing this work and fabricating, you have to be careful putting the tub in and out, because you can dent the quarter doing that just as easy. There's a lot of things that to take into consideration when you're working with this material. It's very rigid, and it will dent this panel. I mean, I can hit this with my knuckle hard enough to dent it. These panels aren't anything like a 1969 body as far as the material thickness and strength. But it's what we got to work with, so that's what we got. But yeah, there's a lot of tricks and details that go into doing tubs in a car that a lot of people don't even take into consideration or even think is happening. But it's happening. Oh, car moved again. But anyways, yeah, so basically now we got this tub up in here. It looks pretty good. I want to finalize exactly where I want it to go. And what we're probably going to do is fixture it up in there good enough so that I can start making cardboard templates to close off the gaps. And I'll probably end up using this tub, set it right over the top of another tub, and trace right onto it. I think that's the plan.
Once you figure out your 6 and 6, you could tack the tab on. Go ahead and put the tab on. We're gonna put that clamp like up right here.
Yeah.
At this height. So tack your tab.
Okay.
Like we talked about inline, don't put it down or anything. Inline, and then figure out a bend that's close. That'll keep that square, and it'll get over to. The tab's gonna be on top. It's gonna be like a 1/4 inch thick. So the cup's 1 inch. You got a little movement there. But yeah, you can go ahead and put the tabs on it, and we'll go. So if you saw in the last video, we made this piece here. We hadn't made these yet, but we made this, and we made these, mounted the bottom of the steering column. This is an adjustable steering column. So the biggest reason that this is important, not a lot of cars have this, and the ones that do, I don't think get it necessarily right, and it's kind of a pain to move. So we tested this. We made the pivot in the same spot as the joint here. That way, none of this is affected. If you were to mount a pivot point here, which is like a lot of them I've seen, what happens is there's this hole in this firewall. You start moving this column up and the pivot's here. It starts trying to shorten and lengthen these tubes, and it hits the hole in the firewall. You gotta make the hole sloppy. It's just not done right, I don't think. So we made this piece, mounted it, and now we have a piece on a machine right now that Ryan's finishing, which is a clamp with a tab. And we're trying to get this mounted so we can actually see the adjustable column function, and hopefully it works good. The reason that's important, going back to that after your explanation, is that if someone else were to buy this car, Cleetus is obviously extremely tall. If someone short bought the car, you could put a 4-inch seat to move them up. You can move the pedals because we have our adjustable pedal kit, and now you'd be able to adjust the column. Whereas if you had a fixed pedals, a fixed column, and a fixed seat, and someone bought the car, you'd have to go in there and cut out a bunch of stuff that's powder coated, weld a bunch of new stuff in, then you'd have to try to paint match the powder coat. It's just not ideal. And when you have a car that's nice, the last thing you want to do is start going in there and cutting stuff out, slinging sparks and making a mess.
Anything hot here? Yeah.
This is.
So you want me to make a mark? Hang on. It's got to go in on your end.
So I take it that's the other end of the tube that you did towards the rear. of the chassis.
Yes.
Okay.
This is going to be the line that feeds the rear brakes. The one that goes through the chassis. But like I said, I make up a pattern that fits where I want it to go till it goes into here. And then I just cut a long piece and leave that till final assembly. When I do final assembly, I take the long end of it and we just start sticking it down inside there with that string and rod, like I said, welding rod. And when it gets to the other end, we pull it out, and then we just keep pulling on that thing till this thing lines up where it needs to be and goes up and hooks up here. And then the line's all done except for what I have to do in the back.
As you guys saw the last video, this is the outlet to the hole that he was making here in the back. So it's all the way forward here.
It's crooked right now, but that bend I'm making now is not part of the finished brake line. All it is a pattern for me to go off of to make the bend in the long 8-foot piece of tubing. I don't want to, you can't bend that up once it's in there, and if you got to do it beforehand. So to do it beforehand, this just makes it easy. I know all my bend points. I can just bend it right up and leave it till final assembly.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get it.
Yeah, moving tab.
You still won't get it because there's. That's warm.
Yeah, I bet.
Hey.
No, oh my goodness, boys, look at this thing. That works really good. Sheesh. Like having a Cadillac now, boy. I like that. That works really good.
Pull a lever and let it just go to a notch.
Now, if we could put it on a lever,
Put a lever on it.
that'd be pretty good. Need to. Oh yeah, this is nice. Here, look at that. That's slick. That works really good.
We know it works.
Look at that. You want to drive it like it's a school bus? Or you want to drive it like this here? That's how I drive with the wheel down low. I drive it with the wheel low, yeah.
You got your seat all the way back too?
No, I get the seat. I'm not that tall. I got to get the seat right up on the wheel, but that's killer.
Yeah, that is.
Wow. Awesome.
Are you on?
It works.
On the aluminum piece for like production. Are you?
See it.
Are you
See
going
more.
to scalp anything?
Yeah, this is totally a prototype. This is none of this
Yeah, if we can
here you're
reverse
seeing
those
it is a finished product. So
we can
if
just-
anything doesn't look totally finished, it's because it's not.
If we reverse the screws.
We're gonna revert. Yeah, we'll do all that. Yeah, looks good.
But other than that,
Works really good.
Works good.
Works killer. Awesome. And you can lower that up and down, change the steering extension, do a different seat pour, move the pedals. You can literally go from
You can do anything you want to do.
Cleetus driving to
Short stuff.
someone 5 foot tall driving in 30 minutes.
Yeah, scratch that idea. Thank
Like literally 5 seconds, you could go from Cleetus driving to you driving. Look at that. Boom, boom. Cleetus. Pretty good. You.
That's pretty damn good. I like it.
Sheesh.
I would say put it in your race car, Ricky, but it's probably just gonna stay right up there.
You mean storage?
How about the
that's
guy
probably what
goes,
it's
I
saying.
want to see more builds. I want to see more information on that red Fox body getting built.
It's here for storage.
Yeah.
I know, but the guy commenting seems to think it's the secret project car that we're not talking about.
Well, it might be.
Actually, it is, but we just ain't saying nothing about it.
We're seeing how long. Ricky's got his car sitting to see how long it takes to petrify titanium.
I got something that's really close at the house.
You know, I don't think this is going to come over that washer.
That's all right. We don't have to take that off. You can take the jig off the bottom, though.
All right.
So that looks like it came out the way you wanted it to.
Yeah, it came out awesome. Super happy with it. This was just a prototype. We will be making these and selling them very soon. We're going to change a few things with the bottom, just looks of it. It works perfect, but we're going to change the looks of it, maybe add a logo. Not sure if we'll do anodized or not, but that's done. Danny got the brake lines done. Troy got the titanium pieces that go to the back done, the tub template on the driver's side done, window nets installed. So really good day. Danny got a lot of stuff knocked out. Had a good day, and I'm super excited about this column working because now we could put LS George in there or Cleetus in there in 30 minutes. So super happy about that. Also, we're gonna have a Father's Day sale on all merch, 10% off everything until Sunday at midnight. So if you wanna get some merch, it's a great time to save a few dollars. And thanks everyone for supporting, and we'll see you next time.